New WTO publication, Trade for Peace. Originally published on WTO.org, the WTO has just released its first publication dedicated to the link between trade and peace. A quote from the WTO Director General, "Trade is an indispensable part of building the secure, sustainable, and inclusive world we want and need." What was this publication? Well, it was a 16-chapter book with contributions from 31 authors across 9 institutions, including the IMF, the UNDP, the ITC, and the World Economic Forum. A quote by Deputy DG Jean Chen Seng stated the following: "This book is a concrete output from the research pillar of the Trade for Peace program, providing insights on how trade and peace interact and how governments and other stakeholders can leverage trade to foster economic development and stability." Why it matters. Fragility worldwide is increasing, and peace levels are at historic lows. The ultimate cost of conflict. According to IEP data, the global economic impact of violence was more than United States dollars 19.1 trillion in just 2023. Trade isn't just economics, it's peace building. Here at the Peace Through Trade blockchain, we recognize, and it's our mission, to allow and empower safe, legal, sovereign e-commerce and trade globally through this Web3 technology. As a result, increasing the quality of life for all of humanity and empowering this mission of peace through trade. Now, the point of sustainability highlighted in this book published by the World Trade Organization is a really interesting point. It points out that peace is ultimately more sustainable than conflict. That's a pretty obvious point for everyone watching this video. But what's also really interesting is that the sustainability that comes from peace through trade is longer lasting. It's more stable and more sustainable long-term globally. The point here in general is that conflict comes with a cost. Obviously, there's the suffering and the displacement of humanity involved in these conflicts. But the interesting point to note is that when countries can begin to start doing economic trade with each other, then that overrides the cost of conflict. Obviously, if they're doing trade, there is a cost to conflict, and that conflict would also remove the trade that they're able to do with each other. So this World Trade Organization report highlights the fact that many countries, nations should really rather be pursuing more economic trade with each other, preventing the conflict in the first place. The launch of the new Trade for Peace research and knowledge database is quite significant. It's very interesting. Make it a point to give it a read. And the final quote from the article states, "This hub is dedicated to collecting ongoing research studies and other resources on the linkages between trade and peace, serving as a tool for stakeholders to support evidence-based policy development and strategy." The World Trade Organization is calling for collective action on peace through trade globally. They're calling in the private sector, as stated in the article, for trade to yield peace dividends, particularly in the difficult context of fragile and conflict-affected states. The trade community needs to work with other partners. The Trade for Peace agenda is no longer just theory. It's becoming a global framework for stability and resilience. So take a look at the report. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel that peace through trade can and will bring about a more longer lasting, harmonious humanity?